My name is Matt, I'm the Viking biker.
My name's Karina, I'm Freebird Moto.
And together we're starting a series called
Coffee Shop Talks.
Boom!
I'm Vanessa, the girl on a bike, and I'm here for Coffee Shop Talks with the Viking biker and Freebird.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks for coming.
Pleasure. Worth it for a coffee,
I know,
always.
always you've got the coffee in.
Even in the pouring rain.
Well, you've done really, really well to come out in this. I drove, so. But thank you for making the trip. And you even iced with Daisy while you were here.
Did.
That's like proper dedication. Thank
Brought
you.
Daisy along.
Thank you, yeah. So we got to see that in action as well. We probably should have kept that in a little bit. Made it part of. So we'd want to talk to you a little bit. Because I've been following you and thing and seen some of your journey, I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit more about that and your recovery and the accident and things like that, because I can identify on a small level what that's like, so I'd like to talk to you about that later. But I think Matt and I just want to find out a little bit more about how the girl on the bike came to be, a bit more about your machines really, Thug,
Yeah.
Daisy obviously, Twinkle.
And Tig.
Oh! Yeah, so we just,
The
a little
lineup.
bit of chat as how did the girl on the bike come to be a girl on the bike and not just Vanessa?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I guess the key in the journey to the girl on a bike becoming a thing started on the 25th of March 2014, where it was a pretty standard Tuesday, and I had left work and was on the way to the wakeboarding lake to go for a wakeboarding session with my husband and some friends, and I got on my bicycle. About a mile away from the office, I went through a green traffic light, as you do, and a car coming the other way decided that they wanted to jump their red light and they cut across in front of me. And I had nowhere to go, so I went straight into the side of them, and at that moment, my life changed. I think at the time, I don't think I ever could have comprehended quite how much my life would have changed. But I am now nearly 5 years on. I've had 6 surgeries, including a full reconstruction to my right shoulder, bolted bionic,
your shoulder.
and 4 surgeries on my hip, which pretty much involves everything but a replacement.
Yeah.
I've had stem cell treatment, shockwave therapy. I've tried everything I can, but it's been a journey where it was after my 3rd surgery, which was my first hip surgery, and I was bedbound, feeling pretty low, not in a great place, really in a lot of pain. And I thought there must be other people out there who are going through struggles like this. And I know I was really lucky. I mean, I could have died. I could have been paralysed. I mean, it could have been so much worse. So I knew I had a lot to be thankful for, but I also had a lot of battles to keep going through. And I thought maybe through social media I can connect with other people who have maybe gone through something that I could learn from their journey, or even on a different level share my journey. And if the struggles that I'm going through and learning, if they could learn from me and not have to learn themselves, like tricks for dealing with pain, all sorts of things like that. So I started an Instagram account, and actually at the start it was all about who I used to be. So I was using the photos of me kite surfing and mountain biking and wakeboarding, and so my average week pre-accident, I'd cycle to work every day, 16 miles a day. I would gym 3 to 4 days a week in my lunch break. evenings in the summer I'd wakeboard after work, and weekends were living for the wind, going off kite surfing. If there was no wind, it would be rock climbing, mountain biking, wakeboarding. Holidays were always sports, off kite surfing, snow kiting.
Proper adrenaline junkie.
It was,
Yeah.
I was an adrenaline junkie, absolutely, completely. And on that moment when I hit that car, that was taken away. Actually, riding here today, pre the accident, I was obviously really fit cycling, and there was a day where my husband was in Watford to see his grandparents. And I thought, well, I'll go over and see them. But the train was like £66. And for me, money, you've got to spend your money where you get the most pleasure.
Right.
And flitting money away, 66 quid, no chance.
Invest my money.
No, I'll get up at 4:30 and I'll cycle. I'll still be there for breakfast. So I got on my bike, it was 52 miles, I averaged 19 miles an hour. And the route here today was a good chunk of
Part
that
of
journey,
that.
and actually it was quite emotional riding along because I could just.
You remembered?
I was so naive to how lucky I was to have a fully functional, pain-free, fit, athletic body, and I didn't take it for granted because I was using it and I was doing all the sports, but I took it for granted. And man, I was so fit. And I will get there again.
Nice.
Tell us about your first bike, please.
So, I was living on a remote island in the Bahamas.
Oh, I did know this a little bit, I
As
think.
you do.
Oh my god.
This is going to be the start of the film The Twins of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Have you seen that?
No.
Him and Danny DeVito are like siblings, and he was born in the Bahamas.
Okay.
It's like really completely irrelevant to this story.
Great story.
Yeah.
Have you got any more?
Share that at dinner parties.
Should have said nothing, should I?
But thanks for the input. Anyway.
So, my first motorbike. I was living on a remote island in the Bahamas. We established that. And I needed a vehicle to get around the island, but I couldn't afford a car. I'd never ridden a motorbike in my life. And there wasn't a motorbike on the island. So I sort of went online and I found a Lifan Chinese wannabe Honda 250 dirt bike. And I ordered it from China, had it shipped in. And I just sort of figured, other people ride motorbikes.
Yeah.
How hard can it be? I've ridden a quad bike, I can drive cars. I mean, I learned to drive when I was about 12. So, I'm mechanically minded, it was fine. Yeah. It arrived in a box.
What, in one piece though?
No.
Like a kit?
In a box.
Flat
in
pack
parts.
bike.
Yeah. It was like the IKEA of motorbikes.
Oh my god.
Thankfully, a bottle of rum and a local bush mechanic. It's like the cheapest bike build ever. It was like a £9 bottle. And yeah, he got it set up and sort of, told me where the start and the kick and sent me on my way. And before long I was buzzing around all the dirt tracks with my spearfish, spearing my fin snorkel, buzzing around the island. And it was just this amazing sense of freedom. It's the sort of island where there's a road going north to south. There isn't a traffic light on the island, there's no road markings. And I just disappeared down all the sand tracks. And
I was going to say, so it's just all
riding.
off-road.
A lot of off-road, but at the time I didn't even think of that. It was just,
Yeah.
I need to get around, get a bike.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
That's probably why it was amazing though, because you didn't...
I didn't overthink it.
No, exactly. You're just like, well, I need something to get around on. What do you mean with a spear?
Spearfishing.
Yeah.
So Hawaiian sling, it's a really long, thin, stainless steel spike with spike on the end. And then, Dennis the Menace kind of catapults. It works on a bungee like that. So you pull it back. You obviously free dive down.
Oh my god.
And I used to be able to free dive to probably 30 metres, I'd say.
Jesus.
It's all mental.
Oh God,
you've got to kind of train your brain to not know or not think it needs.
It's probably really too. How do you manage to get that? Do you have to go? I've seen people with ropes and stuff. How do you manage to
just swim down?
Push down?
Like in a swimming pool, you swim to the bottom.
I mean, but I can't.
You have to weigh yourself down to get down.
You put your fins on, so you've got the extra kick. And because you're trying to preserve the energy and the amount of oxygen that you have in your body, you really minimise your movement. So you're not going to be frailing with your arms, you're just graceful on your legs. I'm quite lucky in that I can clear my sinuses without having to do that. I can just like swallow and I can clear my system, which means I don't use that air, like the oxygen to move your
Oh
arm.
my god.
And anyway, so yeah, you have this spear and you sort of snorkel along the surface, spot a fish or something or it's a lobster or whatever you fancy, and then you're swim
How
down.
old were you when you used to do this?
I think I was 21 when I lived in the Bahamas. I was there for a year and a half. Working at a marine biology research company doing PR and marketing.
Oh,
It was
okay.
amazing.
That makes a little bit
It
more,
was
but
amazing.
still. So then you just
and
see
if
your
you
target
went out and if you went out spearfishing and you didn't see a shark, it was weird. Like that was what happened.
Just casually
So
30 metres of a
mental-
shark
yeah.
with a spear?
Yes, that's what I do. So I take it
Fairy
you wouldn't have
tale.
needed like any kind of license for your Chinese box bike thing, or had you done any training on bikes by that point, or was it just,
No, I'd never even ridden a motorbike. And I was fully insured and taxed and MOT'd, but I did my full licence when I got back.
Right. Okay. Straight through,
Yeah, I did direct
That's-
access course. I did it.
and then
And then didn't have a motorbike
right.
for a long time. The first bike I got then off
Yeah.
after the Bahamas, sort of getting to the point, I decided I was having a gin and tonic with my husband and a friend on a Friday night, and I just left the conversation and I was daydreaming off with my gin. And I was like, can I get a bike? And they were both like, what? They were talking about something completely different.
Back in the room.
Yeah, back
On
in
a bike.
the room. And I just sort of thought, if
Yeah,
I get a
I
motorbike, I
actually,
can skip
yeah.
the traffic. I was having to get up an hour and a bit earlier than normal so that I could do the 20-minute drive that would take about an hour and a half because of the traffic.
Yeah.
And then when you get to work early, you don't leave early.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that when you're in an office. You just end up doing longer days.
Yeah.
And so I got a Suzuki Bandit 600, little commuting bike, and
Yeah, little bandit.
yeah, it was a beautiful
Got
bike.
through.
Skip the traffic, and then no one warned me the motorbikes breed. So now, between
Full
us,
garage.
we've got 6 motorbikes in the garage. Yeah,
It is an addiction.
it is an
Some
addiction.
little sickness. Carry on.
But the Harley came about because on our honeymoon we went to Texas and we did 1,000 miles
That's
on
cool.
Harleys out there, and that was our first experience with the brand.
Oh, wow.
It was incredible. I was on a big Heritage Softail.
Ooh.
When we did that, I hadn't actually ridden a bike since I did my test, and we rock up. I mean, they were quite a big bike.
Oh,
I'm
they're
not
huge.
small. And the guy's like, right, can I see you both go around the car park a few
Oh.
times and do some turns? And you're just like,
no, my god.
but it's like riding a bike. As soon as you run it, it was
Yeah,
absolutely
literally.
fine.
But it's
Then-
just the fact that someone will be watching me. That
Yeah.
heritage would have gone down.
and they were watching.
No,
They were
I bet they
watching.
were. Bloody hell.
We were fine. We disappeared off. We did 1,000 miles around Hydro Canyon. We did
Wow.
Midpoint Cafe, Route 66, Cadillac Ranch. It was absolutely
That is a
wonderful.
honeymoon and a
cool.
half.
It was really cool. So the rest of the Harley story, we had them on the honeymoon. My husband Alex, who's Rocky Monster, he actually gets called Rocky Monster now. It's really
Well, I nearly did it to him, wasn't I? I don't remember his actual name. It's because I see
yeah.
tag in your post.
He was in Afghanistan for one of our wedding anniversaries, and so when he returned, I decided to organise 2 Harleys for the afternoon, just from the local dealer. So we did a few hours riding. I kind of went from Harleys were really fun in Texas to I need that bike in my
I
life.
want it here in my life.
So is it the same bike that you got now that you test ride?
Yeah, it was a street bob.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
Dyna street bob.
You literally went up to big bikes straight out the gate.
Yeah,
Apart from your Chinese
Yeah.
box one, but like,
yeah.
that's amazing to jump to
Yeah.
those. So the size of the bike never intimidated you, obviously.
No, other people can ride them, like I know.
Well, you went from nothing onto a street glide
Yeah,
when you were in
Heritage,
Oh,
Heritage
Heritage.
Softail.
heritage in
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah, that was a big bike.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that whole mentality. Other people can.
So did you both buy Harleys at the same time?
No, we bought one. We ordered one,
Okay.
mine, and we had the Bandit. So we were like, we can go
Oh,
riding
okay.
on the 2 bikes. And then as the sort of week progressed, we were like, this is crazy. You can't go cruising with a Harley and a
And a
Bandit.
Bandit. It's quite
And we also kind of realised what the Harleys were probably going to do for us as far as the lifestyle change.
Right.
So yeah, we went from no intention to ordering 2 in a week, which was pretty insane. But it was probably one of the best decisions that we've made in relation to the accident and the journey that we've been on through the last few years, because with life like a carpet whipped away from under our feet, Alex has been the most supportive husband I could ever imagine, because he could so easily have disappeared off at weekends and gone kite surfing.
Right, and carried on doing all the stuff.
Yeah. But he was like, no, my life is with you, and kite surfing isn't as fun without my soulmate. With life changing so heavily and both of us being adrenaline junkies, the motorbikes, or the Harleys, became this way to get a sense of adventure, of freedom, the wind in the hair, the outdoors, just disappearing and going
And
camping at the
still,
weekend
yeah.
and being together. So when we'd go down to Dartmoor and go somewhere like Frogmore Quarry, and there'd be no one around but sheep and us, and we'd have our little firewood,
I've seen that.
we'd had a bottle of champagne, steaks,
it's so
and
cool.
it
awesome.
gave us that sense of adventure and freedom that was taken away, but then the Harleys brought it back in a way that my body could handle. And
An accessible way.
I don't actually know quite how I would have got through the last few years without that boost of energy of something else to do and focus on that wasn't physically demanding.
So tell us a little bit more about how MCM came about, your column. Sounds really interesting.
Yeah, that's been like the huge honour for me.
Yeah.
They actually approached me.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not a writer. I work in marketing for my sort of my day job as such, so I'm used to sort of storytelling. And through my Instagram, I mean, the reality is I'm little Vanessa from a town in Oxfordshire. I'm not, a David Beckham. I can't believe I said his name, but someone famous that people would seek out and look for.
Yeah.
And so I've had to use storytelling, I suppose, to help relate my journey to other people. And so in order to do that, you have to be able to write to a certain amount, I suppose. And MCN were looking for a new columnist for their blog off, and they got in contact with me. There's a lot of female writers out there, but there aren't anywhere near as many as the males, obviously, and it's very much a growing area and something that motorcycle publications like MCN are really trying to push and sort of represent in a stronger way. So they were looking for a female, and I guess they felt I fitted that. And I was just like, yes. I can't believe you're even asking. Like, yes.
Trying to be really cool about it. Like, that'd be fine. I'm sure I can squeeze that in.
And I get pretty free rein. I've got 400 words, and I can write about anything I want, but it needs to be topical, engaging, something interesting. So the actual thinking of the topic is quite challenging. And then I actually think 400 words is harder than
much.
2 pages,
definitely.
because you've still got to say something and have the story and the intrigue and that first bit that makes someone want to read to the end, but in only 400 words. It's quite difficult, but I love it.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it nice?
It's a lot of fun.
How long have you been doing that?
It's a huge honour. I think probably about 10 months.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So if you have any ideas for my next column?
Yeah, that's really cool. So that wraps up this section of our interview, and Karina is now going to talk to you about some of the deep shit.
Wowzers.
Yeah, we've got quite deep already, to be fair. But yeah,
deeper.
It's not. Yeah, you're scaring people. Yeah, I like to talk to people more sort of one-on-one about them and their feeling of riding, and kind of probably a little bit more about the recovery and stuff like that. And then Matt likes to go a bit more technical. He likes to talk about the bike a bit more, so a more profile Sug.
Yeah, good to see you, Thug.
And then then you're good to go.
Viking banter.
bite up.
For a wee wee.
Not tell you about
Oh, let's just do
little
this bit really quick
Yeah,
and then we'll
yeah,
stop
yeah.
and get coffee and wheeze.
Can you cut that bit out?
No, for that as well.
That's how we're going to end
Maybe.
this section.
It does sound a little bit like what you call your lady bits if you're a little girl.
Oh, what? Oh.
Oh, and that's going to ruin it for you now.